Okay. Megan Hicks of I Run Far, and I'm here a couple days before the 2016 Lake Sonoma 50 mile. I'm here with Caitlin Smith.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
It's a couple days before. Is this going to be your first trail race of 2016?
This will be my first trail race of 2016, yes.
It's a couple days before your first trail race, and it's kind of a long one. This is a 50 miler.
Yeah, it's also been 4 years since my last 50 miler,
Yeah.
I think. And then the one before that was 3 years.
Your cat is right there.
Just hanging out.
She's the audience. Yeah, so is this your third 50 miler?
This will be my third 50 miler.
So your first one was at 2009 at the North Face 50.
Correct.
You won that. And then 2012 you went at it again?
Yes.
Okay, so 4-year hiatus from running 50
Yes.
miles. What made you want to run this race?
Both 50 milers that I have done have been North Face, so I was looking forward to an opportunity to do something that was different than North Face. Also, just looking at the year, it was kind of one of those things when the trials didn't go well, and I definitely want to spend this year on the trails. I thought it was a good race to kind of start the year off, and I knew it was going to be competitive, and I wanted that, and so it's in pretty much my backyard almost. It's like an hour-and-a-half drive, so that's also something that drew me to it as well.
So the things that you've been training for are kind of dichotomous things. The Olympic marathon trials,
Yeah.
a road race, and hilly 50 miler.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you make that work?
Well, I like the variety in training. I definitely do. So having come off of the marathon training in February, getting out on the hills felt really awesome.
Yeah.
So I've been
Let's do
really
something
enjoying
different.
it, and just being on the trails in general, it's a different kind of strength and a different kind of running in a way. But I feel like the speed and the base from the marathon training transitions well as too, because you just come into the trail running a little bit stronger and a little bit faster and a little bit more fit, I guess.
So this is what I find fairly enigmatic about you, is that you transition well back and forth between road racing and trail racing. Most times we see you racing distances on the trails that are somewhat shorter than what you're going to do on Saturday.
Yeah.
But do you think you just have a natural gift for being able to tackle diversity, or is it you just turn super specific as soon as you finish one race and train for the next? Or hey, there's chickens around too. This is fantastic. My neighborhood.
Yeah, this is my backyard. So I do think that it doesn't take me long to get specificity in terms of what I'm doing. So if I have a good 8 to 12 weeks, I can get pretty fit for whatever it is that I'm focusing on. I mean, at the end of the day, it is all running. I think that what compels me to kind of mix it up is that I do sometimes maybe get a little bit bored when I'm just sticking to one.
Yeah. So the mental stimulation factor.
Yeah, and I think that affects your performance too. So
Sure.
if you show up and you're enjoying yourself, you're going to perform a lot better. And I was definitely feeling ready for 2016 to be a year on the trails.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to this year.
What makes you want to run 50 miles? Was it the girls' competition that drew you? Was it Lake Sonoma itself? Amazing right now.
It was partly the competition, hearing about who was going to come out for it. I kind of had it in the back of my head, depending on how I felt after the trials. I was like, I do want to get back out there. I do want to give the 50-mile distance a shot again. I feel like I haven't really explored it, that much. It's like 2009 was really my first year really competing, and it was the first year doing that distance. It was the first year doing a 50K distance and a 100K. It was a lot of new things. 2012, I feel like I jumped into it not quite well prepared.
Okay.
So I just feel like I want to kind of give it another shot. And so hopefully it goes well, and I'll want to do North Face, say, at the end of the year, or another 50 miles sometime this year.
Well, give me some specifics. You came off the marathon trials. like, how did your body react after that? And what have been some of your key workouts or key weeks between then and now?
Yeah. So coming off the trials, I actually felt, I mean, other than like just heat exhaustion kind of stuff, I actually felt pretty okay. The pace was slow enough. Like, it wasn't what I felt like I was training for, that I felt like the recovery for my legs was pretty good, which was nice. But I still took, like a week plus off just to kind of reset and go, okay, now it's time to focus on Lake Sonoma. I've been doing, back-to-back long runs on weekends. And then a lot of treadmill climbs. This is something that my coach is Magda. And so this is something that we found that just works really well for me. And I have to say, like, I feel like my fitness on the climbs has definitely come back back
go
stronger.
get on the treadmill,
yeah,
hike up the incline, and what do you do on it?
Yeah, and then you run, and it's Magda doesn't joke around. You start with like 5-minute climbs, and you're like, okay, I can handle this, and then it gets like 10, and then it's 15, and then like last week it was like 20-minute climbs. And it's like, okay, I can climb for 20 minutes 3 times through with very little rest. It's like basically an hour of climbing. And
are you going for a certain grade, a certain pace, a certain heart rate?
Yeah, so she kind of figures that out, but it kind of starts with like a higher incline.
Okay.
And then the incline gets like slightly less and the pace gets a little bit higher.
Okay.
So the idea is to just basically get your interval training, but get it in a hill form versus like out on a track. So, yeah.
A slightly more controlled environment and trail applicable.
Yeah. But I feel like it transitions really well. Like, when I do that stuff, I notice, like, as soon as I'm out running on the trails, or just even, like, if I'm doing a road run around here, the climbs just feel so much easier.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a nice feeling.
I want to ask you about sport longevity. I mean, in our sport right now, it seems like there are so many people who are coming and going, new faces and faces who kind of disappeared to either disinterest or injury or just not being able to maintain at a high level. I'm going to tell you that when you ran North Face in 2009 and you won that year, that was the race that I Run Far started its live race coverage with.
Yeah.
And so to me, it feels like a Bible ago. Yeah. It really has only been like 7 years.
Yeah, but that's it's like an amount of time.
Yeah. How do you approach this sport from a longevity standpoint?
Well, I think it's really common for people to kind of get wrapped up in doing a lot in the sport. That's just kind of my outside perspective. I feel like I kind of got drawn into it in 2009, and it was like, oh, like 250Ks every month, and like you just kind of did. I did so much, and like looking back on that, I'm like, I don't even know how I did that. And I ended up getting really hurt the following year, and I'm pretty sure there was a correlation there. And so it kind of made me take like a few steps back and go, okay, like I want to keep doing this. I want to stay healthy. Like for me, I mean, I know that I like to be competitive, but I also like to run the next day, ideally, like if I could. Like I know with certain races you might want to take like a few days off, but for the most part, like I like to feel like, oh, okay, I can get up and I can run tomorrow, and I like didn't like bang myself up so bad. And I do think that with this longer stuff, it's tricky because your body kind of adapts to it, and you kind of feel like, oh, 50K is no big deal. I can do this, but it's still a really long ways. And I think there are implications in terms of like, your adrenal system and your hormonal system. And so I feel like maybe that's also partly why I haven't been, full force doing one maybe every single year, but trying to find that balance between like what feels right, and like, is it fun, and am I enjoying myself and staying healthy? So, I mean, I hope that, the few people that I coach or like people that I talk to, that I hopefully instill that a little bit too, in terms of finding that balance and not, just going crazy with the ultra stuff, but
awesome.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to see a woman, especially because women's hormonal health is just so complicated.
Yes.
And then when you throw endurance, like long distance endurance sport into it, grows even more complicated. So it's very refreshing to see a woman manage longevity like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, best of luck to you this weekend.
Appreciate that.
Look forward to seeing you on the hills above Lake Sonoma.
Thank you so much.